presentation and to start with.
Yep. Sure, sounds good. And looks like we're recording. So thanks, folks, for joining live today, or for those watching the recording for our Service Fabric Community Q&A number 61. It'll be a shorter session today with the team. We have Mike and Sukanya joining us today. A quick reminder that today's call is being recorded. This call is not under NDA. We'll be posting the recording afterwards on the YouTube channel as well as in the Azure Connection Programs community. We'll be monitoring the chat for any questions or comments throughout the session. And Mike, go ahead, take it away.
Well, hello, everyone, and belated Happy New Year, since we're first one for 2022. So I'll start off today. I have a deck to share, and let me get right into it. So the timing of this is actually really nice. I'll share my desktop, probably easier here. Make this bigger. So quick product update. So it's been a little while since we've had a product update. We've had a couple previews last year to manage clusters specifically. So as of today, actually, I'll put the post in chat. It won't be helpful for people in the recording, but I'll flash it up on screen in a second here. There are a set of items here that are now GA. So I've starred and bolded them. I don't want to drain this whole slide. But they are mostly features people have been already interfacing with and using, but we have now made them generally available with a new API. So we have a new 2022 January 1st API 0101 for people to consume. So yeah, I'll leave it at that in a nutshell. There's a whole list of things up here that we offer now with Service Fabric Managed Clusters, and we'll keep building on this. So let me flash up before I go into a little bit of feature, since I can't share this in chat in the recording, as far as I know. This is the blog entry. I will put it in chat. Maybe that's something we can think about how to capture better in the future. It's easier, but let's see. Put it in chat. So this blog entry went live this morning, and it further details out the list of features that are GA specifically. So please feel free to hit this up and read it and let us know if you have any questions. So I'll flip back to the presentation. So where are we going from here? So there are currently a few things in flight. We are in the middle of planning. We have semesters, we call them, so 2 semesters a year generally. And things shifted internally a little bit. So we're still going to be in planning, excuse my voice, through March, and then we'll have a longer list of things here that are committed. But currently, we are still working on the portal experience enhancements for OS and VM SKU APIs. So we want to make sure that we're showing only the latest supported SKUs across both the operating system list and the SKU list. So you will no longer, for instance, be able to select an A series VM, which isn't supported anyways. As an example, on OS SKUs, we'll no longer show all the biannual releases of Windows, and we'll show only the very specific curated list of OSs that we support. So that should completely match and mirror the public documentation, which we also have showing that list. We are working on adding a scaling experience, a better scaling experience. There's just a raw slider you can do right now for a node type, but we're working on enhancing this to include the auto scale experience. So if you've ever used VMSS scale set, virtual machine scale set, there's a built-in auto scale experience there. We're looking at pulling that into the node type experience directly. We are also looking at getting spot VM support to preview. Last I heard internally it was roughly about March. So look for that to come mid-March if that's of interest to you. We have had some desires here to use spot VMs for dev test scenarios, mostly some chaos testing. And maybe some production stuff, but we'll see how this preview goes to see how it vets out. We're also working on what's called a zone resilient cluster migration. So we have a bunch of regions that are single zone or 2 zone today, and not everything is 3 zone right now. So this will allow you to deploy a cluster today, and then once the region is backfilled with zones 2 and 3, allow you to do an in-place migration to a fully zonal resilient cluster configuration if you desire to go that way. So we think that's pretty cool, and this is unique to SFMC and something we can only do with SFMC here. And I will touch on, not SFMC specific here, but Trafic and YARP are still being worked on. We're targeting getting these to a GA release, signed release in the coming weeks. Hopefully soon, I'll say 2 to 3 weeks, but roughly in March timeframe. So as I said, we're in planning. I know some people on this call have already done this, but please participate if you can. Submit feature ideas. Please tag me. I do take them into consideration. And yeah, the more +1s we have on like features, the better. I'll call out, something that went live with the GA release, which was actually a new thing, is temp disk support for stateless node types. That was requested by the community and internally. And we were able to deliver that. So that's just an example. So that's it for SFMC right now. Like I said, please hit up the announcement for more details, and please submit feature ideas. So without further ado, Sukanya.
Thank you, Mike. So I piggyback behind Mike's, deck and just added a couple of small updates from the last time around. So if you can, yeah, thank you, Mike. So essentially, just to give you a quick update, we had originally released support for Windows Server 2022. I know there were a lot of questions about that as well. We did some additional testing, and as part of that testing, we found a bug. So we are temporarily suspending support for it. We are working towards kind of fixing that and kind of getting the support back online as soon as possible. We will definitely keep you posted and keep a lookout for the release notes, and we'll have an update there. Regarding the .NET 6.0 support, we are currently in preview, and just as a teaser, the general availability is coming up pretty soon. So again, keep a lookout for that in the release notes, and we'll have an update soon. And the next upcoming release is the 9.0 release, which is targeted for early April. So we are looking forward to sending out the notes on that as well, because we have a few features which are interesting. With that, I would like to open up for any questions you may have. So please feel free to unmute and ask questions.
I can start by reading Witt's question about YARP. So the current plan right now is we are working on getting the signing pipeline done so we can get the GA release out with the current state, most likely. I'll frame it that way. There's always opportunities here to possibly slip in some features, but think of it as current state with working signed bits. Then we can iterate a lot faster once we have that pipeline to make these releases available quicker.
Sure,
so that's where we're at right now. Yeah, so we have some other thoughts and ideas too to make this pipeline better and support additional kind of proxies through a more generic plugin framework too. So we're thinking of how to make that more generalized support. So we're not just restricted to only Trafic and YARP.
And I can take the .NET 6.0 support question. We will have a detailed documentation that we're working on that we can publish. Essentially, it is we've made sure that all the required changes are supported. For example, the iHost change is included. But either ways, we will publish a more detailed document and add that as well. So. What's on the roadmap for 9.0? Again, generally we can't discuss details of a release prior to the rollout, and so definitely we'll have an update as part of the release notes and as part of documentation. So keep a lookout. We will publish the release notes as early as possible, possibly by end of March.
Sure. I guess going back to the .NET 6.0 one, I guess another build on that. Would that also include support in Visual Studio for just the new templates?
Yeah, again, we can't discuss the ones that we are currently haven't shipped out, but yes, we're working towards that.
Great. That's just annoying right now. Loading up an old Visual Studio to generate the templates, just switch back to the new one.
Absolutely, yeah. Any other questions? Please feel free to unmute.
I guess just as another one, having played around with a non-Microsoft IDE this last week, are there any plans to switch to like more of a .NET process to kick off builds instead of the whole thing kind of being wrapped up in its little SF project magic right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. We haven't considered that as of now, but is that something that you are very keen on?
Yeah.
Is that in?
So
Okay.
I guess I've been looking at just using Writer just because for whatever reason, I just don't find Blazor support in Visual Studio to be very good. And so for iterating through website development real fast, it's been really useful. And I guess they've got a long ticket to, hey, please support Service Fabric, but that's just going nowhere fast. So it'd be great if we could get just the flip side on your end to say, please support something that's not just wrapped up in Visual Studio.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually quite an interesting question, as I mentioned, because we've not heard too much of an ask for that before. So I'm very curious to know how, why you were asking for it and the scenario that you would basically be using it for. But yeah, we can definitely follow up on that.
Sure. Where'd be the best place to leave that feedback?
The GitHub alias, the
Okay.
GitHub link, just assign it to me.
Can do. I sent the list the link to the issue ticket for the same and I guess in their bug system.
Makes sense. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, I think, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
I was going to say what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think we have a light session today. There aren't too many participants. I think people are still kind of rolling out from the holiday season. So, so if there are no more questions, we can meet up the next time around. And please feel free to post any questions. We do monitor all the questions. We may not always be able to actively respond back, but we do definitely monitor questions and take down feedback. So feel free to leave notes, leave comments, feedback, requests for new changes. We will pick them up and prioritize them. And we definitely actively monitor all the comments that come in. So thank you all for participating in those different forums and providing us with feedback. So with that, Cesar, up to you. Do you want to wrap it up?
Chris joined.
Awesome, sure. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just kind of poke it. Chris Chandler joined late, but I just want to see if you have any questions before we wrap up. We're finished.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, if anything else, by all means, let us know. As Sukanya was just mentioning, we're always open to more and more feedback and comments or posts or any other form. So let us know. Keep it coming. Really quickly, as always, dropped in the chat a quick link to give feedback on today's session. We know it was a shorter one, but let us know what went well and what you want to hear more about from the team or even from other teams across Azure. If nothing else, thank you, team, for joining. Thanks, everyone who was able to join live, and thanks, everyone that's watching the recording. And feel free to keep the questions and comments coming. Otherwise, Mike and Sukanya, I'll hand it back one more time to close this out.
Sounds good.
Thank
Go
you,
ahead,
everyone,
Mike.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Yeah, we'll talk again in March from SFMC side, server side, right? Like I said, we'll have a lot more to share about our semester plans, so about 6 months forward looking. But that's about it. Thank you, everyone. Sukanya?
Yep, same. Thank you, everyone, and look forward to meeting all of you again in the next session.
Sounds great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.